Hi everyone, I hope that you're having a blessed week. Did you know that 1 in 5 Americans is living with a mental illness? That's a pretty surprising fact. Also, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, 16.2 million adults is suffering from major depression. Depression is a serious illness. It's one that is often undetected, people hide it really well, and so many people are suffering in silence. I used to be one of them. There are different types of depression. There's just not one simple definition for depression. There's postpartum depression, there's bipolar depression, there is atypical depression. Basically, you have depressive symptoms that are not the usual type. And there's also SAD, seasonal affective depression. That's what I used to suffer from. So basically that depression, one time during the season of the year, I would come down with major depressive symptoms, and it would last up to 30 days or even sometimes a couple of months. So, I suffered with this for years, actually, from 15 years old all the way up and through my 30s just about. So I haven't had any major depressive symptoms in the past several years. And I just thank God for that. And I've created this video because I know some of you are out there may be suffering from depression, and we need to support each other. So basically, I just went over the different types and the different symptoms of depression. I also want to talk about how to naturally treat it. Now, this is by no means a substitution for seeing a psychiatrist or seeing your medical doctor or taking medicine. Not at all. I mean, there are some people who are chronically depressed, which basically means there's a chemical imbalance in your brain. That's not something that you could just pray away. You have to get treatment. So those of you who are chronically depressed, definitely seek and get the help that you need and keep it up continuously. It's just an ongoing thing. And I know for me, it's an ongoing thing to treat my mental health and to take care of myself mentally. Depressive symptoms. So how do you know whether or not you're actually depressed? What is it? Basically, some of the symptoms are the lack of interest in activities and the things that you like to do that will bring you fulfillment and joy, or things that you just normally do in your everyday life. You just don't feel like doing it anymore. Also, it could be sleeping too much or sleeping too little. It could be eating too much and eating too little. Weight gain, weight loss. Also symptoms of major depression. Also, heightened irritability, just heightened levels of being agitated, getting agitated. Also, major symptoms of depression could be thoughts of suicide, self-loathing, thoughts of worthlessness. Now, if you have any of these symptoms or symptoms combined, any longer than 2 weeks, you are depressed. And you should definitely get and seek help. Take it very seriously. It's not normal. It's not normal. And there's some of you out there, and all of us go through different cycles in life where you may not have, any chemical imbalances in your brain. So basically, also what triggers, and I'm going to talk about triggers, what triggers depression is chemically, one thing that it does is low levels of serotonin. And basically that's a chemical in our brain, and it's also a neurotransmitter. So when you have these abnormal neurotransmitter activities in the brain, it could bring on depressive symptoms. And when you have low levels of serotonin, it brings on depressive symptoms. So so some of the things that bring on depressive symptoms is, like I said, we go through cycles in life. It could be a divorce, a separation, loss of job, could be marital issues, family problems. Maybe you've been diagnosed with an illness or you're living with a chronic illness. These things can bring on depression. Alcoholism brings on major depression. So there's or addictions or different addictions. So these are all triggers and things that can bring on major depressive symptoms and depression in your life. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves mentally, and not just physically, not just spiritually, but mentally as well. When we kind of know when things are like off internally and in our mind, and it's something that you cannot ignore or be embarrassed about. So many people, you're not alone if you're going through this. So many people go through these changes. Like I said, I'm going to tell you what I have done to basically keep my healing for the past 7 years, and I have to keep it up daily. Once again, it's not a substitution for professional medical help and treatment. It should be done in addition to. I have never been diagnosed with chronic depression, although I definitely had SAD, seasonal affective depression, and I take it very seriously. Some of the things that I've done naturally, so I didn't have to take any meds, and basically that's exercise. Exercise is a natural serotonin producer. So basically what serotonin does, what that chemical in your brain does, it boosts, it's responsible, one of its responsibilities is to regulate your mood. So you have low levels of serotonin in your body, then your mood is going to drop. Serotonin is responsible for regulating many things like digestive system, sexual desire, social behaviors. So serotonin does a lot, and we want to make sure those levels are up. So one of the natural ways of making sure it's up is through exercise. I make sure that I exercise at least 5 days a week, get my heart rate up, get some sweat going, and it definitely has, since I've started exercising regularly for the past decade or so, I have seen marked changes in my mood and how I feel physically and mentally. So it's exercise for me is a non-negotiable. It's automatic. It's like brushing my teeth. I just do it. So exercise, one natural way of keeping depressive symptoms at bay. Number 2, make sure you get sunlight or daylight. You got to get in the sun at some point. For those of us who live in regions where there's a lack of sunlight, I live in the northeast, so you know, there's periods where there's not a lot of sunlight, and many of us are vitamin D deficient. I think basically the whole country is, most of the country is, but for those of us who don't have the benefit of living in places like California or Florida, you know, the sun and daylight definitely has an impact on your mood. And getting out, I make sure I have a desk job, so I make sure at least if I can get away from my desk, and I try to do it every single day. Usually I've been successful. Just get up, I go out, get some daylight for, you know, 10, 15 minutes, make sure I'm out in the sun, even if the sun's not out, just to be outside and just to get exposure to the daylight is definitely a mood booster. It definitely helps keep the depressive symptoms at bay. Number 3, this is just everything, and I've been studying nutrition for the past year or so, and I had no idea how much of an impact nutrition just has on every aspect and every part of our existence. So when you are malnutrition, or you don't have proper nutrition, when you're eating junk food and you're not eating well, that will bring on depressive symptoms. Nutrition is a game changer. Since I've changed my nutrition, and since I've started eating well and eating better, I have seen changes with my mood and with my mental health. So when you are nutrient deficient, like if you don't have enough vitamin D or DHA, these things can have a huge impact on you mentally. That's why I make sure I take my cod liver oil or my fish oil. I make sure that I take my 5,000 IUs of vitamin D every single day, just to make sure my nutrients are up, and I make sure I eat a lot of vegetables and leafy greens, and just things that are just vitamin rich for the body. Like I said before, if you don't have the proper nutrients in your body, you will become, or depressive symptoms can come on. So having a good diet is pretty much critical, not only for your mental health, but just for your overall physical health. And finally, last but certainly not least, is prayer and spirituality, and making sure you have that spiritual foundation and connection to God. I always stress this, but this is just it for everything. So prayer, I just make sure that it's just I don't do those 911 prayers. I mean, there are people out there who pray just when they're in trouble or when something goes down. If you don't know how to pray, or if you are just used to those 911 prayers, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I will encourage you to develop a spiritual relationship, a relationship with God. My relationship with God has definitely helped me get through those dark times and get through my depression. God has been there with me all the way. God is definitely and certainly real, and he will help you. But we also have to help ourselves, and we also have to make sure that we look out for our own health as well. God will do his part, but we also have a part to do. And if you're a parent and you're watching this, your mental health is everything. If you're not mentally healthy, it will have an impact on your children. So if you're a parent watching this, it's just so imperative that if you are not mentally well, definitely get help. You must get help, not just only for your sake, but for the sake of your children. So prayer and my relationship with God is everything, and is helped me through all these years. And also, I want to add to that is, and the Holy Spirit and God will show you, but staying away from dark places. A dark place is different for every person. I pretty much know what my triggers and what my dark places are, and I stay away from it. Don't laugh, and I don't mean to trivialize any of this at all, but one of my dark places is Oreos. Don't laugh, it's Oreo cookies. I know that I never buy them. I stop buying them, period, because I know once I have that pack, there's a binge coming. And after the binge, there's guilt, and then depressive symptoms come, or whatever. So you have to know what your triggers are. Even if it's something what you deem as small can snowball into something major, but, a dark place could be something, not surrounding food, but it could be a toxic relationship, or a person or persons. A dark place could be an environment that that's not healthy for you. A dark place could be something that you listen to or read or watch on TV, or certain types of movies or films. A dark place could be listening to that voice, that negative voice, which I call the devil, that's in your ear telling you that you're nothing, that you're nobody, that you won't amount to anything. You don't have to listen to that voice, and it will come and go, but you don't have to listen to that voice. So stay away from the dark places. You know what your dark place is. I know what my dark places are, and I avoid them, and I try to do the best that I can to stay away from them. So I just wanted to share those things with you, and that I do to keep myself mentally healthy. I practice these things every single day. I just want you to know, those of you who are watching this who's suffering, get help. If you need help, speak to somebody. I know it's difficult in this day and age to confide in a whole bunch of people, but if you can find some people that you trust, definitely if the symptoms are bad and it is persistent, get professional help right away. You need to be healthy. Your family needs you to be healthy. So as I close, I just pray that that God will bless you, that through whatever storm you're going through, that I want you to know that you are not alone. God will give you the strength to get through your depression. God will give you the strength, and you will survive, and you will be okay. So that's all that I have for you today. I just want to encourage you to just keep going and don't quit. Take care, and God bless until the next time.